In the middle of a vast forest stood a very old and very wise tree. His rough bark had seen hundreds of seasons come and go, each one etching its memory into his wood like rings on a finger. All the little forest creatures would come to him, basking in the last moments of warmth before winter set in. This year was no different. Squirrels chattered about gathering nuts for their long winter's nap. Chipmunks scampered up his trunk, stuffing their cheeks with acorns, and birds sang their sweet songs as they prepared for their long journey south. He was called Elder Bark by all the forest folk. And as autumn began to turn the forest floor to gold and crimson, he watched his youngest leaves turn shades of amber and scarlet. The lead squirrel, a portly fellow with a bushy tail, called out, "Winter is coming. It's time for us to rest." Stories of magic and wonder, stories of faraway places, and stories of dreams that came true. Luma listened intently, and a tiny ember of curiosity began to glow within her. Maybe falling wasn't just about letting go of the tree. Then suddenly, her worries floated away like dandelion seeds in the breeze. When Luma opened her eyes, she saw the forest floor rushing towards her. She wiggled her twiggy arms and legs, and to her surprise, she began to steer herself toward the ground. Maybe it was about letting go of fear. Maybe letting go of her fear would help the little rabbit let go of his. She was free. As she floated toward the forest floor, a smile bloomed on her face. "I did it because you needed me to, little rabbit," she said. "Also, don't forget to subscribe for more magical adventures." Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. You needed to let go of your fear of growing up, and I needed to let go of my fear of change. We helped each other. The little rabbit nodded, his eyes shining with understanding. And as he hopped away, he was a little taller, a little braver, and a lot happier. The wind ruffled her leaves, and she twirled and dipped until she landed softly beside the little rabbit. Elder Bark's leaves, squirrels' bushy tails, mushrooms, toadstools, and even pine cones. And she noticed something strange. Wherever the leaves touched the ground, something magical began to grow. "This is a miracle," he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. "This little sapling will bring new life to this part of the forest. It will provide food and shelter to all who need it." The little rabbit looked up at Luma, who was glowing with happiness. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for helping us." And as the deer and the rabbits gathered round the sapling, Luma felt a surge of pride. She may have been just a small leaf, but she had helped her forest, her home, and that made her the biggest leaf in Elder Bark's tree. Bright blue flowers sprouted between the maple leaves. Tiny green shoots pushed through the acorns, and baby mushrooms popped up from the damp earth. With newfound determination, Luma held on tight to Elder Bark's branch and waited for the perfect moment. And when the wind began to rustle through the trees, she took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and jumped. "But what about Luma?" squeaked one of the younger squirrels. So small at first it was barely noticeable, but as Luma watched, day by day, it grew taller and stronger, reaching up toward the light, its branches stretching out like welcoming arms. Soon, the little rabbit returned, and this time he wasn't alone. A family of deer followed close behind him. "She hasn't let go yet," the portly squirrel nodded wisely. "It's all right, little one. She'll come when she's ready. We all must find our own way down." With that, The squirrels buried themselves in the pile of fallen leaves, and Luma was left alone once more. Elder Bark loved watching the seasons turn, especially autumn. She huddled close to the rough bark, shivering. Down below, a family of butterflies landed on the forest floor. His fur was the color of dandelion fluff, and his nose twitched nervously. He looked up at Luma and called out, "Hello, little leaf. Why don't you fall like the others? You've been hanging on for quite a while now." Luma peered down at the rabbit. "Because I'm scared, little rabbit," she whispered. "I'm scared of what might happen if I let go." The little rabbit sat down beneath the tree and sighed. "That makes sense," he said quietly. "Me too. Sometimes I'm scared to let go. I'm scared of growing up." Luma felt a pang of sympathy for the little rabbit. She too was afraid of change, and as she watched him hop slowly away, she knew exactly how he felt. They were preparing to fly south for the winter, and they had gathered one by one around a patch of bright red maple leaves. But high above the forest floor, nestled among Elder Bark's thick branches, lived a little leaf named Luma. Luma was a small leaf, the smallest on Elder Bark's tree, and she was very afraid. Every day she watched her brothers and sisters fall from the branches. She watched them twirl and dance in the wind, sailing away on currents of air. A beautiful butterfly with wings like stained glass replied, "We are flying south for the winter. Soon we will be sleeping until the flowers bloom again. But what will happen then?" asked Luma, still clinging tightly to the branch. "When spring comes," said the butterfly, "we will wake and begin again. We will sip sweet nectar from blossoms and fly among the dancing bees." Luma sighed sadly. "I wish I could do that," she whispered, "but I can't let go of the branch." The butterfly smiled knowingly. "Ah, little one, it's not the branch that holds you. It's your belief that keeps you here. Until you believe you can fly, you never will." With that, the butterflies spread their wings and soared into the sky, one by one, until only their red maple leaves remained on the forest floor. And every day she clung to Elder Bark's branch tighter, too frightened to let go. You see, Luma believed that when you fell from the tree, that was the end. You disappeared forever. No more sunshine, no more rain, no more wind to whisper secrets to. Just nothing. And so Luma held on tight. She didn't want to go. She wanted to stay in the tree forever. One crisp, cool afternoon, the wind grew stronger, whipping through Elder Bark's branches, ruffling Luma's delicate hairs. Luma peeked over the edge of the branch and asked, "Where are you all going?" A little while later, a troop of squirrels scampered down Elder Bark's trunk. They, too, were preparing for winter. As the days passed, the forest grew colder, and the animals' whispers became stories carried on the wind. Then one breezy morning, as the sun shone warmly through Elder Bark's branches, a little rabbit hopped close to the tree. And that's when it hit her. For a moment, there was nothing but wind rushing past and sunlight through her eyelids. Below her, the little rabbit looked up and gasped in amazement as Luma glided through the air like a tiny winged creature. He looked at her in awe and whispered, "You did it." Luma beamed at him. Luma looked around her at the forest floor, which was covered in the patchwork quilt of fallen leaves. And where Luma landed, something extraordinary began to grow, a sapling. They stood together in a circle gazing at the sapling, and the lead deer, A wise old stag with antlers like polished bone spoke first. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up.